Hi, I'm Isaac Whitehead Jr., the Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church of Gainesville, Georgia. And I want to talk about when words take flight. It was once said about words, a bell once rung cannot be unrung. And that is to say that once words are spoken, once words take flight, they can never be stopped or recalled. As a public speaker, it is essential that we choose our words carefully and prayerfully and speak them with purpose. There should always be a purpose to our words and to our expressions. There is a desired effect that we hope to achieve. Sometimes our intent or our purpose is to evoke certain emotions, whether that may be sadness, happiness, or anger, or to evoke some specific action. Effective communication is determined by what we say, how we say it, and whether or not we achieve our desired goal in saying it. Just because we say something, that doesn't necessarily mean we are communicating. It is our hope to be more than an orator or a speaker. I believe our aim is to be a communicator, and that is an effective communicator. We don't want to cause more confusion or generate more questions than answers. It is important that we are effective without being offensive, unless, of course, our goal is to offend or to ruffle feathers. For those of us who are impromptu or impulsive speakers, this can really be a challenge. We can very easily find ourselves suffering from that dreadful condition called foot and mouth disease. I often interact with the audience and speak from my surroundings and situations and the ongoing actions and reactions, and that can really be risky. But since that's my natural style, I have to stay prayed up and work harder at staying focused to avoid rambling or running off the road. And yes, I've crashed a time or two. But I remember the words of Sir Winston Churchill, who said, "If you're going through hell, keep going." A country songwriter put it this way: if you're going through hell, just keep going. You might get out before the devil even knows you're there. When we bring anger where joy was needed, we have miscommunicated. When we drive people away rather than draw them nearer, we have miscommunicated. Or when we evoke memories that are best forgotten, we've not been effective in communicating. When our intent is to move people to action, but instead we are abandoned by them, we have miscommunicated. When we raise more questions when our intent was to provide answers, we have failed at communicating effectively. Communication is much more of a challenge than many of us realize. And as preachers, if we can't communicate effectively, our preaching is pretty much dead in the water. For all public speakers, the more we speak, the more likely we are to say something we didn't mean to say, or we may say something we shouldn't have said, or in a way we should not have said. It comes with the territory. So we may as well prepare ourselves. When you hear phrases like, "strike that last statement," "I take it back," "I withdraw that question," or even "I'm sorry," they would do absolutely nothing to erase what we said. There are, however, some steps we can take to minimize those occurrences or the impact of them. We can do the obvious. We can apologize for our bloopers, but we're better off not to make them than to have to apologize for them. Although there are times it may be necessary or helpful, I, for one, don't favor public speakers stopping or interrupting their speech or sermon to apologize. You say what you say and you move on and suffer whatever the consequences may be. Sometimes the more we try to explain what we said or what we meant or why we said it, the worse the situation becomes. You draw more attention to what otherwise may have been an unnoticed incident, and you could lose the crowd or distract them while they try to figure out what you're talking about. But of course, if at a later time you're questioned or challenged on it, then yes, I believe an explanation and an apology, if necessary, would be in order. As prepared and as ordered as my sermons are, And as much as I try to focus intently on the message, I have said things I had no idea I was going to say. No doubt some of that is the Holy Spirit led. It's Holy Spirit led. It was the Lord speaking to me. But on some of it, I think maybe Whitehead sneaked in the back door. I'm by no means winging it. I'm well prepared and prayed up. And yet the Lord will intervene and interrupt and insert something that even surprises me. It's not necessarily a goal of mine, but it's more like my natural style when speaking or preaching is to interact with the audience and to engage the audience and to reach the audience with the message and hopefully provoke them to some positive action. It is not my goal to impress or awe people with my speaking ability or my oratory skills. I'm reminded of a fellow who said once about a young, beautiful Spanish senorita. I don't know what she said, but I sure like the way she said it. You know, I believe Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the greatest speakers of our time. But I must be honest with you, because he was such an educated and such an eloquent speaker, initially, I gave more attention to his style than his substance. But thankfully, later I got into what he was actually saying and its deeper meaning. For all of us, our goal is to communicate, to convey, to actually reach the people with our message. 1 Corinthians 2:1-5 says, "Now, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. For I determined not to know anything among you, save or except Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words or man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God." That's a powerful statement. In closing, the best advice I can give you is pray before you write or speak and ask the Lord to guide your thoughts, to guide your speech, and to guide your actions. Then I would say, sift your sermon or your speech and get as much of you that might have a negative impact on your message out of it as possible. Sift it. Then your personal emotions and your personal experiences can enhance and inspire through your speaking. But you don't want to use things that would distract or detract from the message. Not only carefully and prayerfully prepare your speech or your sermon, prepare your mind and your spirit to speak. I call it getting up for the game, getting up for game day. Then flush out all contaminants and confidently approach the task at hand. Then, my friend, relax and release your performance to the Lord. Let it be Him and not you. And just relax and get it done. But I must warn you, even when giving our best effort, with our best intentions, we can still bump our head. Just keep stepping and let it be a lesson for the future. So you blew it, and it hurts a bit. Don't be discouraged. I'd rather be walking wounded than not walking at all. When your words take flight, just wave them bye-bye, because they're gone. God bless you, my friend, and may God continue to keep you. I'd like to let you know that Sunday morning services at First Baptist Church, we'll be posting them on a new YouTube channel that is simply entitled First Baptist Church, Gainesville, Georgia. So all of our Sunday morning sermons and all of our Sunday activities at church will be directed towards that website. So please look it up, check it out, and subscribe. And of course, as always, please share the messages. God bless you, and may God keep you. And stay safe, my friend.